The two executive Dokubis glanced at each other. How long did this last? Then the two Dokubis burst out laughing at the same time. Interesting. Don't tell me. The smart executive seemed to have noticed something. Paul watched the scene with a puzzled expression. I will allow a solo meeting with the Dokubi, Paul. The free solo time is 20 minutes. They agreed to my request like it was interesting. I figured they would do this. Originally, the executives didn't like streamers. They were closer to the subscribers than the streamers. The moment they spoke, a transparent dome formed around me and Paul. The original solo meeting right was a space for constellations and Dokubis to secretly meet. The solo meeting with the intermediate Dokubi Paul has begun. However, the usage could be changed according to the user. I saw Byung talking to the executives outside the dome. Paul was trapped with me and revealed his hostility. Why did you want to see me? Do you want to deal some medicine to those up there? His body was still affected by the executive redemption code. As long as the code existed, Paul wouldn't be able to use his own power, as well as the authority of a Dokubi. In other words, the person in front of me was completely helpless. Don't bluff. I know your current situation. Paul winced and withdrew to the edge of the dome. Yet, there was still a smile on his face. I see. I know what you're thinking. Do you want to get revenge for that slave? How funny. Don't you know it's a superficial human desire? Yes, you can try it once. I don't know how you found out about the solo meeting rights, but this is a place where we can't hurt each other, no matter how hard you try. I ran to him and punched him as hard as I could. Blue blood emerged from his nose, and the person who couldn't grasp the situation screamed and belatedly collapsed. I told him, I can't kill you, but I could beat you to a pulp. You dare? Yes. Now your true nature is emerging. I don't want to hear those disgusting honorifics. Is this the first time you're feeling pain? You must have never been beating up like this after living as a Dokubi. Paul was still smiling, despite his blood dripping down. You made a mistake just now. There are special rules in place to prevent people like you from exploiting the solo meeting rights. Then the system message arrived like it had been waiting. You have injured the Dokubi in the solo meeting space. 500 coins have been consumed as a penalty. This Dokubi, they were really great. They prepared a penalty in case if the constellation tried to do anything. It was a coins penalty. However, I was aware of the penalty and just shrugged. Paul laughed as he wiped off his blood. Foolish human. You bring destruction upon yourself with your anger. Yes, try to hit me as many times as you like. The coins you have at the moment. How much coins do you think I have? Paul fell silent. Isn't it strange? How could I become a platinum member when I'm an incarnation? I grinned at his shaky eyes. I have a lot of coins. I made a lot of money thanks to you. My fist descended towards the pale Paul. The damn scenarios I experienced so far passed through my head. Coins possessed. 205,902. I remembered Shin Yu-sung's dying appearance. These were none of the things I told her. That Dokubi. I'll beat him to death. This was the first promise I would keep. 500 coins had been consumed as a penalty. Once again, my fist moved, and his nose was broken. I didn't say that it was someone's share. In the first place, this couldn't be anyone's share. 500 coins had been consumed as a penalty. The insignificant human dares! 500 coins have been consumed as a penalty. You won't be safe if you do this to me. 500 coins have been consumed as a penalty. I'll kill you! I will surely kill you! 500 coins have been consumed as a penalty. Wait a minute. Wait, stop! His frightened body curled up, and I stopped my fist for the first time. For a moment, hope filled his eyes. Yes, you thought well. There's nothing about doing this here. I watched him hurriedly speaking with the honorifics and asked, Did you stop? What? When Yusung asked you to stop, did you? I quietly looked down at him. He didn't say anything and just looked at the ground. Then he raised his head and stared at the sky. He felt resentment for the ones who made him like this. That doesn't mean anything. Your dead companion won't come back to life. My dead colleagues wouldn't come back to life. He was right. It means something. I raised my fist to the trembling guy. So what if she's dead? Shin Yu-sung would have done this as well. Paul's fangs protruded as he rolled across the ground. Lee Young-sung would have done so as well. Yu-sung and Lee Gil-young also. My fist slammed into his belly. Maybe even that bastard Yu Jong-uk. My companions outside the dome were looking this way. Shin Yu-sung was forming fists with red eyes. Lee Ji-hye and Lee Gil-young were shouting something. Lee Hyung-sung's eyes were red as he made a serious expression, and Yu-sung was staring at me with wide eyes. Yu Jong was the last one I looked at before glancing back to Paul. I'm outside the scenario. You can't earn coins by doing this. It won't benefit you. Coins. Yeah. Only the Dokubis would think like this. Some stories would become coins. Some stories wouldn't become coins. Maybe that is true. None of the constellations made a bounty scenario, nor was there a sub-scenario. However, this behavior was meaningful. Nobody was making me do this. I'm not intending to get benefits from this. What? Since the fall of the world, coins have become the principle behind every human action. They moved if the constellation gave coins, and didn't move if there were no coins. Still, humans often move regardless of whether or not there were coins. You don't know it, but humans are animals that seek the meaning of life through these things. What? I raised my fists and started beating him again. The subsequent punches crushed his face, ribs, and joints. I didn't have to control my power because there was no fear of him dying. One blow was the best blow. Every time bones broke, something inside of me exploded. 500 coins have been consumed as a penalty. In fact, I knew. 500 coins have been consumed as a penalty. I knew very well. No matter how much I beat him, it wouldn't give me comfort over Shin Yu-sung's death. The dead Shin Yu-sung would never see this sight, yet I still moved my fist. I hit, and I hit him again. It was just like Yu Jong-uk. He kept repeating his regressions until the last moment, even if no one knew his cause. 500 coins have been consumed as a penalty. Then the message of the constellation was heard. The constellation, Prison of the Golden Headband, is excited about the unseen development. 500 coins have been sponsored. I stopped punching for a moment and stared up at the sky. Even this was a story to the constellations. It isn't an act this time. You have returned the 500 coins to the constellation. The constellation Prison of the Golden Headband is very embarrassed. Think of it as a free service. The constellation Secret Plotter is interested in your actions. The constellation Demon Light Judge of Fire is thrilled by your actions. I started punching again. There were only the sounds of Dokubi's skin bursting, and intermittent groaning. The constellation silently watched what I was doing. No one gave me any coins, but I could feel them watching me. Sometimes, this alone was sufficient. I was wrong. Spare me, please, please! Paul couldn't endure it anymore, and dragged his body to the edge of the dome. The wall of the dome made a faint sound, but the executives didn't respond. Rather, they were pleased with my actions. Maybe they would be saying something like this. That coin-making bastard. Damn streamer scum. The executive Dokkaebis didn't like streamers. The executives who evolved from constellations were good at fighting, but had no talent leading the scenarios. Shortly after, Paul's body became completely ragged. I grabbed at his bloody neck. At this point, I asked what I really wanted to know. Where is Shin Yu-sung's soul now? Dead souls that were part of the scenarios couldn't escape from the confines of the contract, even in death. It would have been different if the contract itself had been destroyed. The intermediate Dokkaebi Paul opened his mouth after he was hit a few more times. I also don't know. You borrowed the power of an archangel, and our contract was destroyed. Indeed, it was like this. The Dokkaebi has been handed the disaster Shin Yu-sung by a great demon. In the course of the transfer, the strings of the contract were created by using the great demon's power. Then, Uriel's Hellflame's ignition had burned those strings. In other words, Shin Yu-sung's soul was now floating around the world. You absolutely can't regain companion. Her soul, soon, the labyrinth. Paul finally collapsed. The Dokkaebi solo meeting rights has ended. The transparent dome disappeared, and the executives whistled. Oh, you're in terrible shape, even before the disciplinary hearing. They glanced at me, before moving away with delighted smiles. I watched Bi-hyung hurriedly chase after them and asked, Did you get back the money? Of course. But didn't you use too many coins? I still have a lot left. I hit Paul exactly 124 times. Coins possessed, 143,902. Bi-hyung sighed as he glanced at me. I won't be able to communicate with you after entering the bureau. I'll keep the channel open, so don't get in trouble in the meantime. Please. I watched Bi-hyung, thought it was good. Without him, no one would argue with him from now on. The scenario error will further delay compensation settlement. The administrator of the main scenario had completely left the scene, and the scenario development was likely to be stagnant for a bit. It should only be for a day or two, but that was enough time. I looked up at the Dokkaebis disappearing into the portal, and recalled the last conversation I had with Shin Yu-sung. Don't worry, you won't die. What do you mean? I can help you resurrect. I've resurrected twice, so it isn't as bad as you think. In fact, I tried to avoid using this method until the end. After all, according to the design, she must die once. There's no guarantee that she could revive again. I don't know how long it will take. If you just wait and don't give up, I'll surely revive you. If Shin Yu-sung's soul had fallen to the labyrinth of the world, it was almost impossible to revive her again. However, that wasn't necessarily the case. She would surely survive if I could regain her soul. The problem was how to find her soul. I suddenly looked back to Yu-sanga. Yu-sanga-shi. Yes? Shin Yu-sung's soul might enter a new world line, but all souls escape from this world through the underworld. I remembered some constellations related to the afterlife. All of them were in a place I didn't dare touch or were beyond my reach. Still, there was one person I could talk to. Can you call the abandoned lover of the labyrinth here? Yu-sanga hesitated for a moment before nodding. After a while, faint sparks appeared around her. It wasn't the previous method directly descending due to the increased probability consumption, but it was certain that Ariadne nestled in her. Olympus, I want to do business with you. The sparks bouncing around the area were rough. Well, our last encounter wasn't great. This time, I had to make concessions. I took a deep breath before getting to the point. Let me meet with the King of Hell. Now, it was time to keep the second promise.